This is Scenic Roots. I'm Ray Bassett. Thanks for joining us. Here in Hamilton County, road improvements are taking place and on the calendar. Nathan Janeway is the county's Director of Development Services under County Mayor Weston Wamp. Lee Helton is a Hamilton County Commissioner. Nathan, Commissioner, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Nathan, give us an overview of all these improvements.
The county's experienced unprecedented growth really over the past 5-6 years. Lots of housing just booming out in the unincorporated parts of the county, which has put stress on a lot of our roads, sewers, and every other type of infrastructure that was really not originally designed to handle some of the loads and some of the capacity that it's seeing now. So this administration, along with this commission, has made it a priority over the past couple of years to allocate funds for infrastructure projects. And some of those include some of the larger well-known roads like Hunter Road, Standiford Gap, East Brainerd Road out towards Appison. Now we're also looking at the other side of the river, Gann and Thrasher roads, as well as a project to help improve flow up on Signal Mountain into the middle and high school.
And what progress have we seen so far?
So all of these infrastructure projects are cumbersome and a lot slower than I think most of the public would like, but we're in design on a couple of the projects, and then specifically out on East Brainerd Road where a developer is helping with that project. That one's getting underway as we speak.
And Commissioner, talk more about how this is impacting the people you represent.
Well, I represent East Brainerd and Appison, and quite frankly, that's where I think the growth really happened first. We were the heaviest hit, so we're the furthest behind. The project he was referring to, the one that's under design phase right now, will be the largest capacity improvement in the county's history. We have developers partnering alongside county government to help pay for it, which is unprecedented. It's the first time that that's happened. Nobody's really asked before. They came alongside us to do these improvements. We're really looking forward to it. It's going to be a problem as it's occurring, but it's going to happen. It should have happened years ago, but you have to start where you're at.
And what are some of the things that you have been learning so far, what you've been hearing from people so far as you've been in this design process and getting started on getting started?
From what I've heard from constituents, it's been overwhelmingly positive. This is really the first time we're almost at $20 million of road improvement dollars over the last couple of years. And again, that's really unprecedented in Hamilton County history from a public infrastructure perspective when it was relating to just capacity adding, safety improvements, and that kind of thing on county roads. Overwhelmingly positive is what I've heard from constituents.
Everyone's excited to have it done. However, they're unhappy during the process. We've had a sewer infrastructure project going over the last year through East Brainerd Road, which is kind of a one-way in, one-way out situation. It's been very difficult, and we've had 2 other road projects that are smaller going on out there as well. People are ready for things to get wrapped up before we do a heavier project, a heavier lift. But at the end of the day, they're excited. Like I said, we should have done some of this stuff 10 years ago or more, but they're ready.
And how does Hamilton County and this push stack up with other counties around us? When this is all done, then where do we stand relative to other counties around us when it comes to roads?
It's interesting. I think the most comparative are probably other Tennessee counties. The ones directly around us probably are in a similar boat to where we're at, and they probably allocate even less money than we do currently towards capacity adding type projects. Some of the ones that are probably better aligned would be like Williamson County, around sort of the bigger metropolitan areas that have experienced more of that growth. Bradley County is probably similar, but still on a much smaller scale than us. But just from a number of projects, the Georgia counties are actually probably closer on a number of projects per year type of scenario, but they have a SPLOST funding that helps them fund those projects every year. It's a special option sales tax, which we don't have access to. So obviously, eventually, if we continue this pace up, we'll have to find some recurring funding to keep this pace up, but I think we anticipate trying to accomplish that maybe with help from the state legislature over the next couple of years.
Talk about what variables that the county is navigating when it comes to cost. Of course, a couple of years ago, we had the pandemic and all the concerns about supply chains. We've had tariffs in the news the past few months. We have headlines from around the nation and around the world. Some of these things can impact cost when it comes to projects like these.
You could probably speak closer to what building costs have done over the past couple of years, but I'll just say from a county government perspective, we share statewide contracts. We're a division of state government in the county. And so we get access to some of these larger contracts on materials that other builders or developers may not get access to. And so our costs, they stay more static than your average local builder might. But we certainly have seen those fluctuations. It does feel to me like it's leveled out some probably over the past 12 to 24 months.
He's absolutely right. We do get a better deal because of scale on our materials, but at the end of the day, the projects have to be done. We need to do them while we have the money. Waiting around for prices to come down is not a way to be successful.
And for people who want to keep up on these improvements, where can they go online?
We've got a great comms team that posts all these things as they come through. You'll see it on our social media. The commissioners also share it on their social media, and we always send out press releases to local media outlets. We also have a newsletter that we send out regularly you can keep up with too.
All right. Nathan, Commissioner, thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Walk This Way is an exhibit now on display at the Hunter Museum of American Art in downtown Chattanooga. It features footwear from the Stuart Weitzman collection of historic shoes organized by the New York Historical. On Thursday, starting at 6 p.m., Cherry Jordan and the Runway Rebels will present a fashion show at the Hunter that's all about the shoes. Walk this way through fashion. Cherry, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell us more about Stuart Weitzman.
Stuart Weitzman is a prolific designer. He started out as an artist and he became someone to be reckoned with in the shoe industry. And he collected over 100 years, some of it personal, some that he had invented himself, but quite a bit of it that he just collected because he was fascinated with shoes. And from practical to just something to come between your feet and the earth, he decided to make like things for the soul. So we at the Hunter Museum decided to get that exhibit, which is like over 100 pairs of shoes, spanning the beginning to suffragettes movement, where women, basically it's women's shoes, where women had very stacked practical shoes, practical, it wasn't any fashion. And he explored lace and leather and silks and things like that. He just made a great evolution of shoes. So what I'm doing within the exhibit is he did from 1899 to 1960, and I'm doing from 1960 forward. You can have an idea of the color, the whimsy, the functionality or lack thereof, and what people find collectible, the feminism, the cultural phenomenon, because people shop with emotion now. Women, they're building shoes for all sizes. Usually it started out with a heel, and then certain women couldn't wear a heel. It'll break, and they're making shoes sturdier, practical. Designers are now coming in on it. There are shoes that are like $3,000, and there's some that are like $6. So everybody can get, and then there are famously knockoffs. So everybody can aspire to have something from Sex and the City that cost her rent.
Or part of her rent.
Yes, and all of that. The trends that come out of that. We address that, and I'm doing the clothing as well to flatter those shoes, whether it's color or, first of all, within the exhibit, he designed the Billy Porter kinky boots, the red ones. Those are his design, and that's the first thing you see when you walk into the museum. So I'm doing a kind of kinky, funky tribute to that, and then the next area would be the suffragettes. There's a big picture on the wall of a couple dancing, Charleston, so you can get that era. And then the suffragettes, the women looking for work with their long dresses and the very practical, like 1-inch heel. And after that is Girls' Night Out, which you find more funky, peep toe, strappy, all the iterations coming into the 21st century. And it's just awesome because I was fascinated by the ballerina section because through the 40s and 50s, or even earlier, women got married in something similar to a ballet shoe. Soft and cushioned and royalty, looking very royal. So it's really interesting to see.
And talk more about that dividing line in 1960 with the feminism that would emerge later in the 1960s and through the 1970s and beyond.
I think women owned their femininity at that time. So it was a movement that was happening, and women were strong in their power suits. They were shoulder pads. They were the sexy secretary, and then they became the girl bosses. and women who owned things, and they had a certain, even in the news, especially the news anchors, they had a certain image to live up to. You couldn't wear makeup, you had to have short hair to be with the boys club, and so forth, and women were doing the work and not getting paid. So it was part of a whole movement. Some women owned their sexuality by wearing sexy heels. They didn't care because they just presented themselves as who they are. And for those who felt that they had to maybe compromise, they would be. Also, there was the practical, just like there was no makeup. It all worked together. It was a very interesting time from the 60s, the 70s. Of course, there was civil unrest and so forth, so there was a look for that as well. And the world, I think, began to see definite images of what that looks like. Women wearing cargo pants, and then their kind of homogenized look with MTV and what the world was projecting. Chunky boots was fashionable. It was feminine as well as masculine. And the lines blurred a little bit. And then they made those boots with color and flowers, and it became feminine. And then there was a heel for people. So the evolution and the trend was visible for everybody to see, and you had people making definitive choices with their look and what represented the shoe that represented them and their look. So I thought it was a really interesting time because, like right now, there's social media, but back then it was MTV, which was global. I've been all over the world, and everybody had a thing, a trend, a look, a color. It became fashion. It just all became fashion. Wherever you went, in Germany, to Sweden, to Brazil, everybody had their own sexy sandal. It was sunny. They made the most. The Brazilians made the most. The Latinas had a heel. So everywhere you went, there was a specific femininity of a shoe. So from my perspective, I traveled with an artist through Germany, and the men were more colorful than women. The women were kind of basic and wore gray. Men wore red pants. That was a phenomenon. I thought it was only in the black community men wore color. But in Germany, men wore red socks. The men were brighter than the women. And I found that really interesting. The women wore gray, kind of on the dowdy side, but their clothes, you can tell, were expensive and so forth. So there's that big divide, and then it still stays the same because when you went to Japan, people looked boring, but then they had definite looks. And the height of the shoe was incorporated in shorter pants. So you have this whole perspective of what their take looked like and what that translated to. So Stuart Weitzman, he addressed all of the above. Within the collection, he just had everything because he was a visionary that addressed all of that, all the things women needed. Femininity, brunch fancy sneakers, clogs, Crocs, designer label. So all of it was included.
And then let's bring it back around to what will be on display on Thursday.
What I'm going to be doing, the art comes first, of course. Mm-hmm. Everything at the museum comes first. Because what I do is, the museum has an exhibit, and I do the fashion version, which I am thrilled to do all the time because it's so much fun. This one is close to me because I love shoes. Girls love shoes. So as a collector, I decided to have all these beautiful pieces and just imagine the fashion that went with that. Like we've got something that looks like Peter Max, and we have psychedelic, and we've got like lots of jeweled, and there's a spiral with butterfly accents and the color and so on. So there's going to be that. I decided to go extreme because I felt that for a fashion show, we're going to go hard or go home. So being that these shoes are existing, I decided to incorporate that into the show and let that be the basis of the show.
And for people who want more information about the exhibit and about the fashion show, they can go online to huntermuseum.org. And for people who want to learn more about you and all that you do as a creative, Cherry, where can they go online?
Thank you. My Instagram is Chic Cherry J, ChicCheryj, and I do vintage pop-ups. My group are the Runway Rebels that I'm using, who are very popular right now. And I sell clothing, and you can get some things from the show if you Instagram me or message me.
All right. Cherry, thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. It's my pleasure.
The Chattanooga Insight Meditation Community is home to the teaching and practice of meditation and mindfulness in a Buddhist tradition. On Thursday, starting at 6 p.m., the community celebrates its new home, a center at 318 Tally Road. Yanka Levansova is the center's guiding teacher, and Kinsey Russell is a volunteer.
We are rooted Buddha Dharma, specifically in what we call in the West inside meditation tradition. The Pali term is Vipassana. I think a lot of listeners may be familiar with that. So what we offer is many programs that teach people from the very beginning how to meditate, how to practice Dharma in their daily life. And also we offer courses and teachings there for people who've been already practicing and want to deepen their understanding and their practice. But primarily what we offer is what we call Sangha or community, where like-minded people come together and practice. We offer really a refuge, especially now having our own space. It feels so calm. So relaxing. You walk in there and you know it's not just ordinary space.
And that's the major step that the community has taken quite recently.
Correct. This space was given to us, and we are so grateful for this benefactor who generously gave us this building. And not only that, most of the furnishing was also provided by them. I don't even know how to express the gratitude. We are so grateful.
It's a wonderful place where we can come together week after week, where we cultivate an ongoing sense of stillness and awareness, and where we have a place to gather. It's a place where you walk in and you really do feel the stillness that just exudes the entire space. And it's wonderful to know that it's always there, and it's going to be a place where we can grow and cultivate that together.
Talk more about where this location is.
We are now off of Tally Road in Brainerd. It's a house that we've transformed into a Dharma center.
Talk more about who the community is.
Our community is represented from people from all walks of life, various affinity groups, and from all levels of meditation, beginners to leaders. And it's wonderful to gather in a space and we can all practice together with Yanka or one of our Dharma leaders, or even a visiting Dharma leader guiding us through those guided meditations.
What's new here is you are in your own space like you never have before.
Correct, yes. To celebrate our new space, we're hosting a gratitude ceremony and welcome reception on June 26th to honor all those that have given to the center from 2010, and then all those who are currently there really over the last 15 years who have
contributed to our Sangha. Yes. And it starts at 6. So from 6 to 6:45, there will be guided meditation, there will be gratitude ceremony and what we call sharing of blessings. And then we have what we refer to as welcome reception. So people who just want to come and meet us and see the space can come after 6:45.
Really, one of the big things that we're celebrating is definitely a place to gather, a center for people to come together, no matter who, what, where they come from, to just take some time in their lives to be still and to grow their awareness of who they are in their hearts and their minds. Like Yanka said, we live in such a busy world that's go, go, go. Sometimes it can be really hard to find a space that's quiet. And so having a dedicated space that's quiet with other people, with having this human experience together, very powerful to just gather together and celebrate that together.
And for people who want more information, where can they go online?
ChattanoogaInside.com. We are on Facebook and Instagram.
All right. Yanka, Kinsey, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
For 6 decades, Ishmael Reed, born here in Chattanooga, has made an indelible mark on the literary world with more than 30 books of prose, poetry, plays, and essays. He's also a prolific songwriter, editor, and publisher who has championed other writers through founding and co-founding several journals, both print and online. Challenging the status quo through parody and satire has earned him a reputation as a literary troublemaker, also a Pulitzer Prize finalist and a National Book Award nominee. A few months ago, the city of Chattanooga invited Ishmael Reed back to the city of his birth. Along the way, he sat down for a conversation on the A-List with Allison Lebovitz, which you can see this Thursday at 8:30 p.m. on our public media partner, WTCI PBS.
It seems like there are many cities, specifically, throughout your life that have had an impact. And The first one I want to talk about is your trip to Paris.
Oh, that changed my whole view of things. Ironically, we were sent there for a Bible convention, the YMCA.
How old were you?
I was 17.
Okay.
We spent a lot of time in nightclubs, you know what I mean, jazz clubs. First time I spent out all night. I mean, it was like amazing. I was hanging out with these kids from Long Island, these hip white kids, and we were trying to be Parisian. You know, I had put on Parisian clothes, I had my glasses and everything, and we were sitting in this nightclub, all cool and being Parisian, and Robert Mitchum walks in. And everybody got up, ran, "Oh, Mr. Mitchum, oh, please sign my autograph," you know, became American kids again. But what I noticed there was that the Africans I met in Paris were not like the ones that are depicted in popular culture and in the curriculum. They were students at the Sorbonne, and there was a sort of like a Pan-African movement in literature going on there in Paris. And there were signs all over town, the ballet Africain, culture. So when I came back, I dropped out of high school. I said, if they're lying about that, what else are they? So I went to work in a library and, read a lot of books. And as a matter of fact, it was my first encounter with James Baldwin, with whom I had a problematic relationship because we saw him as old-fashioned. We were the avant-garde. But I really learned a lot working in a library.
Catch Ishmael Reed on the A-List with Allison Lebovitz this Thursday at 8:30 p.m. on WTCI PBS and on the PBS app. Also from WTCI PBS, a profile on Call Me Spinster. From childhood frenemies in the Twin Cities to a folk band making harmonious music together here in Chattanooga, Call Me Spinster isn't just a band. It's a lifelong investment in creativity and family, forged by sisterhood. Greater Chattanooga, from WTCI PBS, follows the remarkable journey of the three sisters of Call Me Spinster, who found purpose and passion where they least expected it.
I think it started very much based on both the songs and the instruments and the voices that we had. It was very acoustic at first and definitely more folky than most of what we listened to. Then we started writing our own songs and got to think a little bit more consciously about the sound. A lot of times what we were hearing were poppier sounds, and like Feet Are Dirty is one of the first songs that we wrote.
Our feet are dirty and the sheets are clean.
We've slowly been kind of expanding and experimenting with different things. Like we have an electronic keyboard now and a full kit, and I play electric bass now sometimes. We've looped in my husband on electric guitar. Sometimes we get to work with Summer Dregs. So that brings a lot more sort of like pop influence.
We felt very free to kind of experiment and let things get as big and weird as they wanted to, and as kind of raw and pared down as others wanted to be.
It's time we burn the olive tree. It's time we burned it. Again as in the air today. I think we earned it.
Every step of the way has been sort of like, like it has always felt like an opportunity falls in our lap and we're like, okay, let's do it. Should we? Okay, let's do it. So that happened when we got approached by the record label. I think that's how it felt early on, even when we got asked to play gigs. It was like, really? You want us to play? Okay, we'll play a gig.
Watch the full story on YouTube at Greater Chattanooga or on the PBS app. I'm Ray Bassett. Thanks for listening to Scenic Roots. We come to you from the studios of WUTC at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. Email us at scenicroots423@gmail.com. Follow us on social media at scenicroots423. Listen to us online anytime at WUTC.org and the WUTC app. Join us again next time for Scenic Roots.